Well, who the bloody hell is this Martin Pariseau? Well, he's the guy who's really making sacrifices as a Canadian compared to not just the norm, who are around average financial situation or elites, like politicians, and also those that live below poverty or they don't even have assistance. Is they're not, in a way, making the sacrifices I'm making because they're not doing the cultural repair work that I'm doing transparently, posting online. So, it's going to be harsh when I post about the only karaoke place I really went to and how disappointing it is that they're not self-correcting and they're not taking responsibility or providing answers. They act because accountability does that to people. It turns them into developmentally disabled people. And that's, the typical Canadian are not capable of adult level accountability. So it's pretty sad. You're going to think, well, that's pretty harsh. Well, if that issue wasn't there, I'd be posting more videos of myself singing at karaoke, which would be more enjoyable than me talking about what's screwing up karaoke, what's screwing up, our Proto-Societies here. Now, if public servants get fired, guess who it should be? It should be the ones who are evaluated as, not applying the mission statements of the institutions, like the Ministry of Poverty Creation or Work BC, for example. But I'm talking provincial at this point. But, it's the same thing. So, don't do it by seniority or unions decide or whatever, or even staff might be wanting to do it. And sometimes it's the best staff when it comes to being client-centered. So don't let them quit. Give them a raise. Say, please don't quit. So, but the thing is you have to evaluate staff. And you don't do that. You don't evaluate your teachers at university. You don't evaluate your public servants. You don't do it transparently in a way that makes them improve because they care. They do their best. And then they look forward to the results, and then they apply recommendations, and then they get better. You don't do that. That's one of the reasons you have to cut down the crappy work, right? I'm not able to access services from institutions where my identity launders money between these employed people who are failing. And Northern Health recruiting more doctors in broken systems that will keep failing is not a solution, So here's what I will say, okay? So I'm going to take ownership, of course. I didn't know, but, you turn this to your advantage. I am a unique case study in the research I do, so I'm not doing research as a fictional person. I'm doing it as a real elusive Homo sapien among you, and this is how my life's turning out based on my choices living among you, the Homo communia, the failed people primate species of this epoch, the accelerating Anthropocene. So I'm going to say, well, yeah, I couldn't afford a phone, and I'm tired of reporting kudos failures to the CRTC, and I'm not in a rush when I don't get phone calls that are, worth me answering the phone for. With my phone, I'm paying $28. As I'm not getting income, so I have to cut my expenses. You already know that there's a project coming up with that related to ICBC. So there will be an MLA who will be donated my not-for-profit BMW motorcycle. And then, of course, I tie in the project. Why couldn't I find a place to do my pilot project and find funding for it and also get anybody excited about it? And why we say, well, maybe if you had ECE. If I had ECE, I'd still need to do this project. But the thing is I've already reported what it was like for me to work in that field and being better than my supervisors and them getting me references for me not to quit. But then, I also take the same training that they took. Just a minute. And then I realized that, it's not worth the student loans, and that the training is actually being devalued, and the teacher's complaining to me in private about it. She's saying, I have to kind of make the training less valuable now because I'm getting complaints from students who are learning or have to do homework that has been the same as usual. So it's sad. It's sad that these work industries keep devolving, that these public servants are quite happy to accept a paycheck while partaking in this devolution. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, well, I've never got a message from Kudo that it was failing, this $28, and they don't try to contact me, they don't care, right? So will Northern Health contact me otherwise? Well, by tomorrow, by the time I go to the library, it'll be 48 hours since the appointment. So even though it's my fault, let's see if they make an effort to actually contact me by either Healthy Life or my email, which they have access to. And then what I'm going to do is just continue the HSD-related research, their HSD, their illnesses that they can't fix. And then I'm going to say, well, I don't want to access services from you guys anymore because you're not looking at the cause. You just want to solve one little symptom at a time and make it about the doctors, not, being challenged to look at the big picture of what they help create as failing systemic issues. So that means you're so afraid to lose them. All they're doing is putting Band-Aids on my hemorrhoids instead of looking into what's wrong with me, because I still am feeling lowering energy. And it could be because, there's just nothing stimulating for me to do that isn't upsetting. Trying to give karaoke a chance in this community again, or trying to give badminton a chance in this community again, or trying to find really fun places to, go cycling, or trying to find a way to afford new running shoes and new orthotics without jumping through all the hoops that all of your policies and politicians don't care are there and don't try to help me overcome. So yes, there's a lack of dignity in living among you, and even more so in trying to access medical services or any other kind of services from you guys. So if they really want to help, I'm going to say yes, I'm going to get off my medicine now, and I feel guilty as a Canadian who's already doing more sacrifices than you guys are, that I have a place to stay in that somebody else could stay in, or that, I'm receiving disability benefits because of your disabilities. And I suffer from species alienation. And what's your excuse? Because I'm not part of the problem. You are. And yet you get paid to be. And I don't. So, I'm going to say, well, let's do forms for dying with dignity. And then I'll feel good because, there's no chance of me getting a decent friend, or me having a job, I've proven this, or a university program that's worthy of me. There's nothing really stimulating my brain or nothing motivating my body to get back into shape. And it's not my failures, and I'm not suicidal, and I'm not in a deep depression. So I'm going to keep doing the sacrifices that, even your Jesus wouldn't do, because, he's really got these powers where his sacrifices are really not that big of sacrifices according to the powers you claim he has, right? So I'm going to just say, yeah, let's do a dying with dignity thing, but let's put the criteria for why, and one of them is your failures. You have to write this. Your failures as a species I share DNA with are not providing me with adequate care, adequate challenges, and an ability to be of service among your broken structures.